Hello, hello. It's Bertram from Renown Talent. Good morning, everyone. So this is week two that we are doing the live streaming of the careers and the opportunities that we're working on. In the past week, it's been crazy. So first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. Secondly, we've had a lot of interest in the roundup. So if you are not sure what the roundup is, the Renown Revenue Cycle Roundup is a bi-weekly meeting that we're going to have on Wednesdays. It's happening this Wednesday on the 20th, and I will put the link in the comments. And that's when us and Revenue Cycle are getting together. We are having a speaker so we can learn a little bit more about Revenue Cycle because we all know it's a lot more than coding. I also want to show that from where we stand and where we sit, for example, a coder can be an HIM director. That director can go up to the C-suite, right? There's definitely a lot of movement that I've seen folks have been able to do, but we're so siloed. If you, let's say, are a medical coder, you perhaps just know other medical coders, but how do you get to auditing? How do you get to the management function? And you can move all around, but you also need to be presented with those opportunities, and you also need to have the right network. So that's what we're trying to bring together. We also love conferences. We love the associations that do bring us together and give us those credentials. But there's another thing: how often are they having the conferences? How expensive, or depending on who you are, how inexpensive, or just how frequent or infrequent those conferences are. So I live in Florida. Usually we have a lot of conferences in Orlando, not too far from me. But even for that, I find myself only being able to network with individuals in between a bathroom break, or when they have food in the middle of their mouth, or when they may not be ready or prepared. So the roundup is also free and is going to help us alleviate all of that. So if you're not part of the roundup, you definitely want to sign up. The next one is happening at noon on Wednesday. That's Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to be it's going to be fantastic. We had our first one a couple weeks ago, and I can already tell we have twice as many people signed up. The nice thing about the roundup and us doing it live as well is, let's say you are a outpatient coder and you put up your information. I will also let recruiters know that, hey, if you're looking for people, go to the roundup live link that we recently had, and you're going to be able to go there and they can email you for opportunities. If you're still open, respond to them. If not, if it's not the right fit, just let that person know. Thank you so much for reaching out to me, but I'm not currently available. Um, and I also want you to be very, how I would say, not too worried about getting on any type of like list or spam or anything. I mean, even if you don't sign up for things, they do happen to find our emails addresses somehow, but you can always opt out. And a lot of companies like myself, we have privacy policies in place, meaning that we're not going to sell you information. And if you're truly just interested in an opportunity, we'll usually just reach out to you for opportunities. You have to understand, recruiters and staffing companies talk to hundreds, if not thousands of people every single week, and you think that they're going to focus on something like email marketing, that's not going to necessarily bring them any revenue, right? So have them focus on something like that, or spamming you, versus them actually getting people placed in jobs and helping their clients when they really need them. So that's something for you to choose. I want to go to the comments really quick. I see we have Misty. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining. We also have Kamila. Thank you as well. Edwina, I did see you, and you're going to be on the roundup. You already signed up. Christy, I like to say thank you for coming as well. And it sounds like you're going to have folks that are going to be attending on the roundup on Wednesday. So I think it's just going to be a fantastic way for us to get together. Let's just find out more about the industry, network a little bit, and even if it's, let's say, something that you're not totally open to or interested in opportunities, it would just nice to know what is going on. Um, and for those folks that are more entry level, we may not have a lot of opportunities or jobs that we can share that may pertain to you, but believe me, HCC coding season is coming up. That's when a lot of companies hire hundreds of HCC coders, and they're usually very flexible in their requirements. A lot of those positions not even requiring you to have jobs and opportunities. And as I see the recruiters post those jobs, I'm going to get them on the roundup, as well as if they are flexible and open for us sharing their information, like, hey, if you're a coder looking for a job, or you just have your CPCA, CCA, here's my email address. I'm going to share that as well. On the roundup happening Wednesday as well, I know we didn't do it on the last one, but with the format, I'm also going to help you promote yourself. So let's say you are that outpatient coder, you put your information, you would like it to be shared. I'm going to also put down the roundup that on the screen, everybody can see. Hopefully some employers, recruiters are on there as well. We are getting a lot of hesitancy on the roundup for recruiters and folks to join. I mean, think about it. Who wants to be live or on camera first thing or early on a Monday? It may even be a little bit challenging for somebody like myself, right? But the point in here being is that I believe that everything that we want in life is on the other side of comfort, meaning other side of being uncomfortable. Meaning, I remember when I met my wife, I saw her, I was like, wow, she's just stunning, and I want to get to know her and all of these things, but I was so nervous because I was like, what if I mess this up? I didn't know what love at first sight was until I felt it, but at the same time, it was like, how can I actually go over there to talk to her? And it's funny story, really short. She said that she can tell I was looking at her. And then she was wondering, is he going to talk to me? So as much as I was tripping and going through my own roadblocks, right? She was also thinking hey, if this guy doesn't come and talk to me, I don't want to seem like I'm too open like that. But we had to figure it out, and we did figure it out. Two kids, and being together for so many years, it all proved to be worth it in the end. But I know for a lot of folks and recruiters, hiring managers, employers are like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there, and we got to be presentable and all of this stuff. Come on, we do Zoom calls almost on a daily basis in our line of business. And a lot of recruiters, I'm going to shoot a video, I'm going to call some recruiters out. You're looking to go to the conferences, right? You're looking to be in person. You want your company to fly you out to all of these places. Fantastic. But when you go to those conferences, what are you going to do? Are you just going to stay in the pew and just wait for people to approach you? You got to be approachable, but also you have to approach people. Not meaning that we have to be aggressive, but if your company is going to fly you out to these conferences, they want you to represent. They want you to go out, shake hands, and meet people. And I can tell you, even the most, famous people that we have in our industry, they're always going out and they're meeting people. And I think one way that a lot of you can stand out for your company and also help promote them for free, it's no cost to employers as well or recruiters, is to come on the roundup and share your jobs and opportunities. Okay, so let's get into the career report. And we have Tara here and Stephanie. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names and faces, so thank you, ladies, for tuning in. And in gentlemen that we may have, something interesting about the streaming platform that I'm using, because it's sending it to YouTube as well as LinkedIn, I believe it doesn't come in or tally the amount of people that we have live. So for me right now, it shows that I have 0 people, but I see that we have so many comments. Okay. Hey, Pamela. Oh my goodness. So she's in the Pacific Northwest, and she happened to tune in. I know you're probably working right now. You got a client or two that you're visiting. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. So for the jobs and opportunities that we have, nothing has really changed since last week. I did peek or share with you that we're in talks with a couple clients as to them bringing on more jobs and opportunities, a lot of coding jobs and opportunities, but those haven't come to fruition yet. We still got to work on some agreements and such. But I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be exciting. We are also working with an additional really large client and hospital in Florida, and that is going to bring a lot of opportunity as well. So I appreciate everyone that has tuned in. And the job that I'll be focusing on, at least this week, if you might have missed it last week, is still the healthcare recruiting role. So for the healthcare recruiting role, as I mentioned last week, it's for somebody that has healthcare recruiting experience, but preferably in staffing. So you need to be able to have experience working with a staffing company or know what that's like. Don't go by the picture, but male or female, of course. And if you happen to have HIM or revenue cycle management, information management, staffing experience, fantastic, but it's not a requirement. So if you have nursing, if you've worked in the LTAC space with staffing, maybe nurse assistants, if you've done something within healthcare staffing, getting people on assignment, working with them on assignment, helping coaching them through those assignments, this may be the good position for you. I know a lot of coders have shared interest in this as well, but unfortunately, they do happen to need somebody that has at least 1 year of staffing experience in a recruiting seat. Okay. We are also looking at and prefer folks to not have short job histories. So let's say if you've been at 4 companies within the last 4 years, this may not be the right job and opportunity for you. If you may have had 1 or 2 stints that are rather short in your last 5-year period, that's understandable. But this company is looking to build a solid team. And by a solid team, what I mean is that they're looking for folks that are going to grind it out. They have 12 or so open opportunities right now, but they're hiring additional salespeople. So that's only going to bring more opportunities for those recruiters to get people placed in. And you may be working a lot of hours, maybe nights and weekends, doing whatever you need to do. You may also have to, really grow your brand. So this person, I haven't discussed it with the hiring manager yet, but from what he's talking about, from going from a very small team of executives to building his company up. I know I spent at least 1 year on the road going to any and all conferences. Funny thing was, our company was already there. We didn't really have a lot of medical coding, especially recruiting. Folks that are out there, and I was able to go out there. I met a lot of folks on an entry level within our industry, help kind of like guide them, and people are like, well, Bertram, you're almost like a celebrity. And I don't even really think of myself as that way, but what they were more referring to is like, Bertram, no one's really speaking to us about jobs and opportunities. It's all CEs, right? It's all education. It's all about like who got the award or scholarships. But at the end of the day, they should be at least some focus within these conferences about jobs and opportunities. Yes, we have the executive booth, and the vendor booths. So, you can go to those and you can find out about jobs and opportunities. But also, a lot of people go into these conferences. I'm not sure if you know, they are looking for jobs and opportunities. So if the vendors are there and they're looking to hire, I think they should definitely do more around that. Um, Also, definitely this person have to work well with a team, as well as you'll be building a book of business. So the nice thing about this is that this recruiter is going to be commissioned on top of their salary as to how many people they have billing based upon a percentage. That is awesome and crazy, because a lot of staffing companies used to pay that way. Going up to ICD-10 a few years ago, they kind of took a lot of them took that away, and now some of them are getting back to that. Because why? Because the competition was doing that, and they were also getting a lot of people. So the nice thing about this opportunity is you're not necessarily working from the ground floor, but you're definitely going to be able to build something. I could see this person also growing into a lead or a manager function as well, depending, and just being able to work with a fantastic team. So for me, when I was in an employee working, I love to work on the ground floor, meaning like we are building the foundation that we're only going to build on. That's exactly how, when my last corporate position, I went from, we had, I think, 40 or so coders. Within 8 months, we blew that up to over 200. And that was in the competitive ICD-10 challenge. You have to remember, this is when companies were offering 5, 10, 15, $20,000 bonuses. One company was even giving away a car at that year's HEMA conference, I remember. I even knew the person that won that conference. Anyway, won that competition. Even during that time, we were able to hire, and not just hire, but retain fantastic people. And that's because we were building the foundation and going up. So everyone was talking to everybody, everybody was working well together, and we had a lot of fun. I definitely know the company made a lot of money, and it was a great opportunity. I just want to say a quick shout out, John. I had the pleasure of networking with this gentleman last week Wednesday. John calls himself the cheerleader, the male cheerleader of our HIM and revenue cycle industry. So if you're not connected with John, definitely connect with John. John mentioned Revka. Now, Revka is interesting. You are relatively new to our industry, but in terms of social and you just sharing the knowledge and the information that you know, you are doing fantastic. That's great for branding. That's great for at least showing some subject matter expertise, but that's great just for you helping. I think the executives, I'm talking about recruiters, salespeople, the business people in this industry, they're so focused on serving their clients and being there for their clients. I think a lot of them, I'm even calling myself out, I think a lot of them forget about giving back or remembering that we were there at one time. Maybe none of them had something as impactful that happened to me. If you may not know, I wanted to be a recruiter. I wanted to be in this seat. I wanted to be doing amazing things, but I couldn't. I was the door shut on me for 3.5 years. That was my fertilizer. I looked at it. That really helped me grow. And when I got in a recruiting seat, I had to blow it up. My company also did not allow me to continue my position. They termed me unhireable. After working for 3.5 years for a company, how can you be unhireable all of a sudden? That's the story for another day. So I just had to blow it up. So that was really the fertilizer that I needed. But I think that we should all give back. I know that John and Refka, you guys and ladies, you guys definitely do a lot of that. So keep it up. As always, if you are, interested in these opportunities or you like to get connected with me, definitely send me a connection request on LinkedIn. You can always apply to our openings. We also have some evergreen postings for coders, and these evergreen postings, to explain them, these are positions that companies have posted because they usually will hire for the same thing. For example, if a company reaches out to me right now and they say, Bertram, we want you and your team to help us with finding solid inpatient coders, great. But they will usually require the same thing: 3+ years of experience, credentials, etc. So we have these evergreen postings, meaning we're not hiring immediately, right? But as we have people that fit the bill, we're putting them in a pipeline. And as we get new opportunities, we're reaching out to that pipeline first before we reach out to social media. So if you're an inpatient coder, outpatient coder, I think we even have like cancer registry oncology, they just changed that title. Case management, we have these evergreen postings. So when we have opportunities, we immediately go and we send them an email blast. We'll probably call a few of them that are more recent, as well as then we'll go send it to social. So careers is great. Also, you can email your resume directly to us at info@renowntalent.com, and feel free to message or just reach out to me. I do have some folks that I'm working with that have applications, and I'm currently in talks with for this recruiter, at least the recruiter position. We did get some additional feedback from the client. So what I'm doing is instead of like interviewing you and then going to the client and coming back to you, I got that information from the client, and this week I'm going to be plowing through those those applications and hopefully get a chance to speak with you before I open it up again, meaning I'm going to allow more people to apply to the position depending on how many folks that we get. But yeah, the roundup is this coming up Wednesday. I'm definitely going to go ahead and share that link in the comments, and I really look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. Okay, let me just get that link so I can put that in the comments. Might anyone have any questions or just anything that I could possibly assist or answer for them while you have me live at this moment? And that would be good to go into the comments. So here, nice thing about the roundup as well, when you go to that link to sign up for it, you can also ask LinkedIn to create a calendar reminder for you. So you can go ahead and you can click on that as well. So you'll have a place where you can say that you plan to attend. So if you're on LinkedIn, it'll definitely remind you of that. But then right next to it, there's a button that says, so there was share or plan to attend, there's manage, and then there's also an add to calendar button right around the time. So look around the time, let's say add to calendar, so you can add that calendar invite. I know for a lot of you like me, you're so busy, so many things going on, business, family, just things that you're doing, that those calendar invites, or at least a 15-minute reminder, is a really big help so you can get prepped. And remember, when you join the roundup, you do not need your camera on, you do not need even your microphone on. You can interact, network, do everything via text. And for the only folks that will need their microphone as well as camera on are the folks that will be speaking to us or speaking to the audience. So for a lot of you, you can just tune in or just listen in the back, have your headphones in, whatever, and then just do what you got to do. And you can listen and participate as we have things that are relevant to you. Okay. All right. So just a few things. So someone's asking if I do still present at APC chapter meetings. I do. I was at a symposium for the Richardson, Texas um, chapter on Saturday. So we did that virtually. We had over 200 people attend, and it was crazy. Had a little technical difficulties on my side. I had the PowerPoint presentation open on my computer, and I'm flipping through the slides, and I froze on the presentation, like on the fourth or so slide. So we had that little hiccup, but it was fantastic. The hour that I had with everyone flew by very quickly. So I started speaking in 2020. More about jobs opportunities, getting hired, all of that stuff. I did around 30 or so presentations within 12 months. I got burnt out a lot, on top of family, on top of COVID, just all of us being locked in place and all of that stuff. So I haven't really been speaking for the last year and a half, quite honestly. But I did pick it up again. I had Tampa a few weeks ago. Um, and I'm looking to speaking. So if your chapter needs an engaging speaker, somebody that's going to necessarily not just go by the norm, and I'm not saying that the stuff that we usually talk about in our industry is boring or anything, but I've been at the conferences, and sometimes like they got to give me candy because I'm just kind of falling asleep. And that's probably more from me because I am not a credentialed anything. I'm not a credentialed recruiter, as well as I'm not credentialed in coding. But I want to learn as much as I can about the industry. So I go to the conferences, I sit in the sessions, I try to learn as much as I can. But sometimes it's just not very engaging. So I engage very well with the audience. I also allow anyone and everyone to ask us questions, and I usually have a present for those folks that are able to stay to the end and if it's something that they may need in terms of help with their resume or LinkedIn profile. So we do still speak at conferences, and if your chapter happens to need a really good speaker, let me know. I prefer to speak to larger groups. So my only caveat with that is if you're part of a smaller chapter, perhaps we can buddy you up with another chapter and we can probably try to just have the meeting at that time, if that makes sense. So let's say, I'm in Florida, forgive me. So let's say there's Fort Myers and there's Sarasota, right? Let's say each of them only have 50. Let's bring them together and let's try to get it scheduled. In terms of the things that are particular to those chapters, they can probably have like a sideline meeting or take it offline after that or have a follow-up, whatever that may be, maybe email for that month. But if it's a really small chapter, why don't we buddy you up? A lot of folks have asked for us to speak for their schools or for, the class that they're doing, and maybe that class group is only 15 or so. Why don't we buddy you up with the local chapter, and I would just speak with the local chapter. So we definitely try our best to still speak and give back. As I said, it is very challenging in the seat that we work in because we are juggling so many things, but I felt a lot of fulfillment personally from doing that, even if there's really no compensation or anything like that. So we do not need to get paid. We don't need any honorarium or anything like that. Like we can just speak to the chapter and just happy to connect with people. Funny, one gentleman that I met, his name was Kevin. He messaged me this morning. He's like, Bertram, I remember hearing you and hearing about you years ago, and now he's finally like in the seat. So I guess when he was doing research about coding and wanted to get into coding, um, he stumbled upon me or maybe saw something that I was doing, maybe somebody where I was at, and now I just happened to catch him on that chapter meeting, that symposium that we had on Saturday. So that was fantastic. Hey, shout out to Miss Kimberly Williams. If you're not sure or familiar with who she is, Kimberly Williams is definitely one of our subject matter experts, but she loves giving back. She volunteers a lot of her time to her local chapter, but also to people within the industry. And when I did announce on LinkedIn a few weeks ago that, hey, we are open to speaking, she engaged me like very quickly, like, Bertram, like, can I get you as a part of our symposium? And I know the symposium only had like 4 to 5 speakers. So I was very flattered to be able to do that. And I think we brought a lot of value to those individuals. Okay. All right. So Misty has a little announcement. She's a billing coding specialist with a great company. Her start date is October 2nd. Followed all of your advice and with the advice of other great guests you had on here, she's now employed. Wow. Is that no, Misty? If you're still there, if you're still here, didn't we first connect like 2 or 3 weeks ago? And I remember you sent me a copy of your resume and you were looking for opportunities, but are you saying that, we were able to provide some value to you and you got the coding job that you're looking for? I'm waiting for the comments. You remember there's no mic and there's no video, but I'm waiting for her to confirm if she was able to get hired that quickly. Because on the roundup, one of the sections that we have is Ask Mr. B. And the question that somebody asked on the last one that we had was, Bertram, I'm applying to 100 jobs, but I don't really have anything. Like, what should I do? And my advice to her is to stop applying to so many jobs. And even when I spoke with her, because I was screening her for one position, she told me like, "Hey, Bertram, I'm looking for this or this." And you want to be a sniper. Don't be the warrior with the machine gun. You want to be a sniper. You want to be very specific. And Missy has confirmed that after following some of the advice and the things that we shared on our roundup, and just I think she's been following me for a little while, she was able to get hired. That is crazy. Like that is crazy. Wow. Missy, I want to tell you congratulations. And I also want to just say that you have made my morning. Because what that tells me is that what we are doing is relevant. Also, it is changing people's lives. You have to understand, like before I got involved in HIM and being a recruiter, and this is just Bertram, this is not, we don't need a slide for this. Like, so girlfriend at the time, when I met my wife, Like I was in love with her, but financially it was very challenging for us back then. If you remember, it was back in 2007, 2008. So I met her, and 4 months later, I was unemployed. Ran out of unemployment. Imagine dating somebody on unemployment, but everybody else wasn't working. Well, a lot of people weren't working. And then like I knew that I loved her and like she was going to be my wife. Like I knew that, but financially it was challenging. Like, far less like even just like getting married. Like what about a house and all of that stuff? But we worked together, and she was one to really help change my mindset because I got lost in the news. The news every day was it's a recession. The economy is bad. The economy is bad. Everything is pointing to we're probably heading into another recession. But what I realized, and just logically thinking, just because it's a bad economy doesn't mean that you have to have a bad economy. Am I making sense? Just because these folks over here are having financial difficulty doesn't mean that that has to be your narrative. And I got lost in the news every day and the negative thoughts and just like things coming. And there was a lot of supporting evidence. Businesses were closing, things were not going well for a lot of people. But it's funny, a year or so after, like I bought my house, a few years later, we got married, like all of these things, there are still people crying about it being a bad economy because that became their narrative. So where was I going with this? The reason I was going with this is that I wanted to be able to give back. I wanted to be able to provide value information to folks and help people get hired. And there's so many of you that have gone to get the education. There's so many of you that have, like, even for myself, like, I remember going to college and, like, everybody was telling me, like, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this, you can get a job and you can have this and you can have this. And when the economy crashed, it was not reality. I felt like a lot of folks were selling me a dream. um, doesn't mean that it cannot happen though, right? But Misty was able to share with us that she was able to get hired. She attended the roundup, right? She took some of the tips and some of the tips and some of the advice that we took that we gave, and she was able to apply that to get hired. Wow, that is crazy. So just from one roundup, at least one person was able to confirm and share with us that they were able to get hired. So Misty, um, not for me, but I'll say today's live stream is dedicated to you. As much as I would like to take credit, quite honestly, you're the person that took action. And what I mean by that is my stepdad loves, if you didn't hear this one, you're gonna hear it today. My stepdad loves the lotto. He loves to play the lotto. But as much as my stepdad would love to play the lotto, he can't go to the lotto office with yesterday's numbers without a ticket. Oh, my son sent it to me via text, like, yo, like they're right here. Like, I got the numbers. You know what they're gonna say? Thank you so much for coming. Play again next time. It's all about action. It's not about knowing. And that's the thing. I think today we have so much information. You want to find out how to lose weight, do whatever. Like there's YouTube. People will show you how to do it. Excel. Back in the day when I was going to school, you couldn't just put, a few little words in a search browser and show you on screen how to do something. It's crazy, right? But even with our access, a lot of people are not applying. And shout out to you for applying and taking action. At the end of the day, it's all about taking action. I was in love with that girl at first sight, but nothing would have happened. 2 kids, a marriage, like years later, traveling to Korea every year to see her and spend time with her family. She's here, but spend time with her family over there. None of that would have happened if I didn't take action. So we got to take action. Okay. So Kamila also second what I said. Just because the economy is bad or whatever's going doesn't mean it has to affect you. You go, girl. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Mitzi's sharing a few more. Oh, hold on. She's sharing a little bit more detail about her position. So it's a large dermatology organization with over 150 practices, 100% remote. And you know what 150 tells me? 150 tells me that's some job security right there. Even the low performing ones are not doing well. You are going to be fine. So we are approaching 30 minutes. I want to thank each and every one of you. Misty, I want to thank you as well for doing that. And you know what? You know what happens now. You need to give us a testimony or something. We need to get you on camera. Maybe we should get you on camera one of these weeks, and we can share with people that it is possible. To network, to put yourself out there, to be a little bit more specific about what you're looking for. And Misty, I think we should probably connect offline, and we can probably do something where you just share your testimonial about how, let's just call it the roundup, how the roundup has helped you. because I'm having a lot of folks on the fence because they do not understand the concept. But imagine 15 plus years ago. Hey, we're going to do something called social media where you can share personal business and pictures about you and yourself and your family. People have said, "You crazy. I don't want to do that." What happened? Facebook, Twitter, and now social media is normal. It's so normal. Even before I turn on the TV to check the news, I just open Twitter because Twitter has usually the latest. It also has some funny comments in there. If you're ever in the Twitter comments, oh my God, like I just laugh by going through the Twitter comments. Whole point being, anything new is strange and it's weird and it like I don't want to do that, right? But later we realized, like, yeah, there are people that actually post personal information and pictures about their family every single day. That is interesting. But in them doing that, we learn more about them. We also learn more about the world, and it's also very interesting. Like I have now a large family. I can see what's going on with them through social. They can also see what's going on with me and my family through social as well. It just makes it a whole lot easier. People before used to send large emails with pictures and stuff to family members about what's going on. Now you can just post them or keep it private, whatever, in a group, and it'll be there. So, yeah. So, Missy, we should definitely connect. For anyone who has been able to attend this live stream that we have today, thank you so much for attending. This is saved and recorded as well, so you can always turn back to this and review the notes, review the comments, and go back. We're having that roundup this Wednesday. As Missy shared with us, already one person has gotten hired from the tips and the stuff that we shared in there, and that just shows all of us how valuable it is. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Have a fantastic week, and as I say, be renowned or be forgotten. That saying for me is everything. And I just remember, when I did something, anything, whether it was school, whether it was college, whether it was my work, I always tried to be remembered for something. And that can even just be dedication, consistency, putting the work in, like having long talk times and placing a lot of people when I was a recruiter working for an organization. But more or less, what that has told me is that if you really want to get far in life, and that's life in general, whether that's your church, professionally, or within your marriage or relationships, your family, your kids, you want to do the best, but you want to be remembered for something. With my family and for us right now, like my son, it's 6 years old, and I'm like Superman to him. And I know maybe one day that might change, right? Getting a little personal here. I know that that might change, but for now, I need to be the best Superman that I can be because he wants to play with me. He wants to spend time with me. He even like his mom wasn't feeling well. He even said like, well, you know what, mom, like just me and dad can go. And mom's like, what? Like I birthed you? Like, what are you talking about? Right? It was so funny. But I just love that he loves to spend time with me. So what am I going to do? Am I going to tell him that I'm busy every time that he wants to engage with me or he wants to do something on his terms? No, I need to be the best dad because that's how I want to be remembered. Unfortunately, for my wife and I, we didn't have that growing up. And how great of it is for me that didn't have that to be able to provide that for him. But a lot of employees, I'm going to talk about the employees right now. A lot of you are missing out because you're thinking you should just do the minimum. No, 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 no. When I was working for the healthcare company for 3 years, wanted to be a recruiter, I was the best person. Like people try the job and they quit in other departments, other areas. But I was the best person. We even had one individual come out to our office and she sat next to me during the whole day and she's like, I don't know what this guy's doing. I want to see how he's successful. Like why is he an outlier versus others? And at the end of the day, it just came down to me. It was more about how I took work. Even though it was a crappy situation, I was the lowest paid on the team, I was the highest educated, all of those factors against me. When I got the opportunity to interview as a recruiter, is because a gentleman's wife, my mentor, even to this day, gentleman's wife saw me and she saw my work ethic and she shared great things about me. But if I went as my true self, like, oh, this job is crappy. Oh, I'm not being paid. If I went all grumpy and like not being happy, you think I would have got that opportunity to be a recruiter? Probably not at that time. But because I was the best crappy job person that I was able to get that opportunity. So, what I would just share with you is try to be remembered, hammer out. Like, I think our parents, and, I would just remember that a lot of our parents had such a hard time financial crises, the oil, like all of that stuff happened, right? Dot com, like all our parents like went through it, but do you remember the news headlines, or do you remember how your parents acted to it, reacted to it, or how they still pull through on Christmas and still did the best that they could for each and every one of us? Remember the good times, remember what they did rather than the headlines. And I'm glad parents have that professionalism, that they don't just come home with a chip on the shoulder or showing that they just got laid off, like they just try their best. So fantastic. All right, as you can see, I can just go on forever, and I need to cut off. So I hope each and every one of you have a fantastic day, have a fantastic week. I look forward to seeing those that can't on the roundup on Wednesday. If you haven't signed up, sign up to attend. Also, ask LinkedIn right there next to the time in the sign up is going to have where you can get a calendar reminder. Put that calendar reminder so if you're available, you can join, and you do not need video, you do not need your microphone, you just need text, of course, internet connection to participate, network, and see what the roundup is all about. All right, everyone. Love you and have a fantastic day. Have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye bye.